Okay, so it seems that we have a return to VTubing, this time for Amaris Yuri. Now, obviously, this is a pretty interesting one, considering the past that she has had, especially with the company Phase Connect, and it seems like she's bringing back her old kind of character to a new light, right? And this is a pretty surprising one for a lot of people, especially considering that she's already kind of started her journey in terms of like indie VTubing and stuff on a different kind of personality. Now, again, it seems like she's been posting on and off since about October time, and this was around about whenever the Cinder stuff was all going on, so it was like kind of overshadowed by that, and people kind of missed out the earlier points, which is why a lot of people have actually brought it up in subreddits a couple of months ago. But again, obviously, it seems like now they've actually put out an official kind of Q&A type thing, FAQ, I guess you would call it, essentially answering a lot of the kind of questions that many people have, because if you don't remember, back in 2023, Phase Connect obviously announced the termination of Fuura Yuri, who is obviously the same person as Amaris Yuri. Obviously, they changed the name around a little bit. They said it is with vacant hearts, we must announce the termination of our contract. Obviously, they said, there's been some breaches that have been discovered and investigated and confirmed. There have been multiple repeated breaches of the Phase Connect talent contract by Yuri in the past year that she'd been with us. Upon confirmation of these infractions, both the company and Yuri had gone to great lengths to remedy the situation. Unfortunately, we were unable to come to a mutual agreement. So again, obviously, it was pretty surprising for a lot of people. People were kind of confused at exactly what they meant by that, and what exactly were the kind of things that were in breach of the contract. And it seems like it wasn't just like oh, you did this, we're going to get rid of you, because obviously it says like both them and Yuri had gone to great lengths to remedy the situation. So again, I don't even know what went on behind the scenes there. But it seems like she's actually come back to answer a lot of questions, saying, Amaris Yuri Q&A said, "Thank you all. I'll be with you when I'm ready. I hope to move forward to a fun future ahead instead of dwell on the past." Now, yeah, this is the whole Q&A. They say, "Why are you sharing this Q&A?" They said, "I want to address some common questions I receive, and I want to do so directly and clearly so that everyone has accurate information from me personally. This is simply about clarity, respect, and moving forwards on honest footing. Please don't mistake this as anything else." Said, "Wait, I thought Yuri was gone. How are you back?" It said, "I created this character, Amaris Yuri, in 2021. I'm the legal rights owner. I always intended to come back. Now here I am. I'm sorry it took this long. Thank you for waiting." They said, "Why did your relationship with Phase Connect end?" And they said, "Sometimes companies and talent frame departures differently and have different beliefs about why things ended. My talent contract naturally expired at the end of its term, and therefore my relationship with FaZe came to a natural close. I genuinely wish FaZe all the best, and I'm super excited to continue with Amaris Yuri as an independent." Now, obviously, yeah, this is pretty interesting considering the fact that, obviously, she says here that their talent contract just expired naturally and it just ended, right? And they just decided not to renew it and didn't, go forwards with it. Whereas Phase Connect said it was due to a breach of investigated and breaches of their Phase talent contract, which I think is pretty interesting how they both have two different kind of sides to this, right? They said, "Are the rumors about you true?" They said, "I've heard some rumors that I stole money and doxed people floating around the internet. Let me set the record straight. These rumors are false. I never stole from or doxed anyone." They said, "What about the PC? The PC fund included both my regular earnings and the amazing support from my community. For anyone who wasn't there or might misremember, it wasn't a donathon, just a personal goal I'd worked to over time, because my old setup couldn't handle modern games. FaZe received their contractual share of the revenue, and I personally purchased, assembled, and shared the build process on Twitter at the time. I streamed it with it during my time at FaZe, and still use it now." She goes on to say, the secret donation page rumor said, "This is something else that I want to address directly, since it is brought up a lot online. When making my Stream Elements donation page for my new identity, I failed to change the PayPal message that pops up when you send a donation. Despite already changing the email itself, the message showed my previous PayPal email, which includes Yuri Amaris. Yuri Amaris, sorry, I don't know why I said that in the email. I want to clarify that I recycled my previous PayPal business account that I use for Yuri for verification and tax simplicity. Having this PayPal account under the name Yuri does not mean that I was using it for improper reasons. Both the email and PayPal account were operated by me since I became Yuri, and it was necessary for commissioning anything, paying for anything, and also for getting paid for my contractual work. I paid for all my skivs with that PayPal, for example, as well as my Amaris Yuri outfit and the re-rig of the original model. I want to remind everyone that all my earnings under any company were processed through the company first before it is paid out to me. I could not touch earnings before the revenue was split. It is also important to note that a Stream Elements account requires signing up with a platform like Twitch or YouTube. Therefore, my Stream Elements account did not exist until I made my Twitch account for my new identity. Then they go on to say, what about Fuura Yuri? They say Fuura Yuri was a separate design created during my time at FaZe. I won't be going to use it going forwards, which obviously is pretty obvious. It's owned by FaZe, I'm pretty sure. So again, can't do much about that. Said, why did it take so long for you to come back? I wanted to make sure I handled everything carefully and correctly before relaunching. It was very important to me to relaunch in a way that respected everyone involved and cleared up any confusion. Everything has been reviewed and handled properly, and I'm able to return now with full peace of mind. Obviously, they say, so what does this mean for the future? They say it means Amaris Yuri is officially back, and this is the time I get to fully rebuild her as my own. I plan to use my channel mainly for ASMR content, both pre-recorded and live, as well as some Zatsu-style content. This Q&A is the last time I intend to talk about the past. And say, what about your other identity? Now, this is the most interesting part to me, at least. And say, not going anywhere. A lot has changed over the last few years, and that identity has been built with my blood, sweat, and many, many tears. I've faced much adversity in her development and overcome great mental challenges with her, as well as learning to truly come out of my shell. I will work hard as that identity while also being Yuri in a way that brings smiles and joy to the hostages, who, that's her talent name, by the way, community name, she's not actually called them hostages, who have been waiting so long to hear from me again. Now, see, she says, finally, thank you to everyone who cheered me up over the many years during my ups and downs. If it weren't for you, I'm not sure I'd be here today. So please know that I'm eternally grateful. And yes, it seems like she's going to be moving forwards. Now, obviously, they talk about her other identity here. And that's because, obviously, as it's revealed in this post as well over on Twitter, that she is also Kiba Wu. She's also Kiba Wu, a very popular VTuber as well. She got 31,000 over on Twitter compared to this one, which has about 3K, which it's very interesting to see this kind of happen because, again, she already has a kind of personality which is very, very popular, and she could continue doing that, which she is going to do. She's going to run both accounts, it seems like. But again, I do find it very interesting that she's split these two up and essentially had two different kind of, I guess, accounts, right? You don't see it very often with VTubing, so again, it is going to be interesting to see. Obviously, that's what kind of interested me. I think what the actual kind of approach is going to be for this is maybe doing, some of the normal content she does with Kiba Wu kind of stuff, right? And then I think Amaris Yuri is going to be kind of dedicated to ASMR and ASMR type content, right? Because again, I can kind of understand the fact that, with ASMR content, you can't really do anything else, right? You can't, do gaming videos or do, just chatting or whatever, right? You just have to do ASMR and that's it. So I can understand separating the two so you're able to do a little bit of fun stuff. Well, I say that ASMR isn't fun. Obviously, it's probably fun for her seeing she wants to do it, right? But again, you get to do other stuff as well as still being able to do your ASMR stuff. So I think that is the, biggest explanation as to why she's split these two. Now, obviously, it does draw the questions. Why not just do like a Kiba Wu ASMR channel instead, join the two, but don't have them on the same channel? Again, maybe that's just her personal preference. Obviously some people really enjoyed her content and stuff in the past, so maybe that's why. And, I can kind of see why she maybe wants to have a different kind of personality or persona or whatever, during these streams and videos. So that could also potentially be a reason as to why. Again, I do think it's interesting to go into, but I don't think it's striking any red flags or anything that people might have brought up, right? And obviously, yeah, they say, seems like Kiba has learned the way of necromancy and is reviving Amaris Yuri persona back from the dead. The quick rundown for those unaware, that Amaris Yuri was a CyberLife talent who graduated with Kaneko Lumi back in 2022. After spending time on the indie scene, both joined FaZe Connect to start FaZe Invader Gen. To note, Amaris Yuri did debut in FaZe as Fuura Yuri instead of Amaris Yuri. Sadly, in 2023, Yuri was terminated immediately following the violations of her contract. After that, the rather sudden end, she would return to the indies as Nanobite and would later rebrand to Kiba Wu. Now, again, as I said, it's very interesting because obviously, you know, she mentions in the Q&A, the FAQ, whatever you want to call it, right, that she, you know, had her contract run out naturally and that it just came to an end, whereas FaZe Connect are claiming that she broke the contract, which, again, I do think is interesting. And obviously, she hasn't been able to talk a lot about this as well due to, like, NDAs and stuff. So there's a lot of certain things that you can't talk about. But again, he said, I'm so sorry that things are a little less juicy, like a big Google Docie. I hope that you guys can find a bit of closure and go on to support your Oshis to the fullest. They said, I wasn't aware of those rumors. I'd only heard about the one about taking money without giving the fish his cut, which had me hesitant to openly discuss more other activities around the company. And they said, it's best not to engage with rumors unless there's a clear source. I want to keep things positive for everyone involved, so I'd rather not go down that road. Thanks for being understanding. And obviously, people saying, did your NDA expire? And they said, my NDA covers certain things permanently, so I won't be discussing anything that falls under that. I addressed what I could. So that is essentially everything that they could have addressed themselves. Obviously, it says, you say the contract terminated naturally, but the termination notice doesn't sound like that to me. And obviously, yeah, as you can see here, it said, yes, the contract terminated naturally. So again, they are further confirming that it did terminate naturally. It said, no disrespect intended, but terminate and expire are two very different things. So the wording in their statement seems to indicate that different things. So the wording in their statement seems to indicate that you were fired rather than simply choosing to not renew your contract. Said, my bad, you are correct. My wording was misleading. I was taking their wording into thought as I wrote the original document. Expired is the correct usage as I did not renew. So they didn't actually mean terminate there. I think they actually meant to say expired, obviously, because they were talking about termination there. Again, interesting, very, very interesting. They contradict each other, and you know, obviously, FaZe Connect. I don't know if they're going to reply to that or kind of give a further clarification, but it definitely does seem like there's a bit of a grey area in terms of why they really got rid of her and why you know, she is no longer a FaZe talent. Is it because of the termination, or is it because of you know, just it expiring naturally? Either way, I don't think there's anything too malicious behind it. I think it's just more of a clarification that people really want, right? Obviously, we were saying Sakuna seems pretty fair in his dealings. Cleo talked about how he straight up showed her the company's financials before any NDAs had even been signed. Since Yuri is one of the two talents that have left FaZe, the other are seemingly reversible graduations, her infractions must have been pretty serious. However, it is interesting to see that she's reclaiming her original CyberLive IP. Wonder if they've worked something out. And they said it's possible Yuri's termination from FaZe is distinct and pretty much all other agency terminations in two respects. The agency wished the termination talent good luck on their future endeavors in the termination notice, and the agency allowed the terminated talent to have a farewell stream after the termination notice had been published, which again is also pretty interesting too, because if you've been terminated, usually it's just like, okay, goodbye, you're gone, see you later, we're not seeing you again. You're not even getting a final stream to say goodbye, but she did get a goodbye stream, right? And said not even Yozora Mel's termination was this graduation like. It would have been highly unusual for any agency to give an IP to a terminated talent, even if it was hers before she joined the agency, but at the same time, it wouldn't be entirely out of character for Fishman to be that amicable. Said I wasn't watching FaZe then. That's very interesting. Thanks for the history lesson. Always interested to hear and that kind of stuff, which, yeah, I think it is pretty interesting. Obviously, you know, there's some contradictions going on here in terms of, you know, what they are both saying, but, you know, maybe that could be further clarified at some point. I'm not sure. Obviously, she's very, you know, adamant that she's not going to bring up the past anymore. So I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. And it is one of those things that, you know, we might never know, you know. But yeah, obviously, to be honest and open, since the process is taking longer, I don't plan to operate as Yuri the way I used to. As you may have noticed in a few places, I've labeled myself under ASMR. My channel will, you know, primarily be focused on pre-recording and occasional live content. Is that I want to keep Yuri's legacy alive. She means the world to me. I spent a lot of time on her, like dumped 10k of my own money into her while she was active and struggled with her. I've moved on in many ways with my new identity and changed a lot. So looking back at Yuri over 3 years ago, I was a teenager for a lot of my time as Yuri. I'm not the same person now as before. So if you have some expectations that I'll be the exact same, I'm very, very sorry. Ultimately, I'm doing this for me as a passion project to pay homage to my IP and I love that I love and cherish. And can look back on with fondness now, but ultimately I want to focus on looking forward. So the past has gone so far, it's hard for me to properly associate myself with it, so I'd like to focus on building something new instead. I hope I made sense. It's a bit of blabbering here and there, but I hope that fans of the past can respect me for who I am now or move on from me. But regardless, I have no intentions to impress those against me. I just want to create stuff I'm proud of. Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. And obviously, they got a final thought there saying, when I debuted as Yuri, I was 18 and hardly knew the first thing about being a public figure. I got into VTubing, applied to one corpo, and to my astonishment, got in. I'd never signed a contract before. By that point, I had never worked for a company entity before. I never ego searched before. Everything was so new. I made 100 mistakes, and I tried to make everyone, even the wrong people, happy all the time. I tried to play a character. I tried to be myself. I tried to change my spots, lol. I was so very unsure of myself. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, I lived with my parents and was going through the worst of it, with their fights becoming more and more aggressive. I was not mentally sound. I was very sad and very stressed. Nowadays, I've learned to focus more on being myself. I live on my own. I'm so much stronger mentally now, and I've learned a lot about navigating this space in the real world, and I'm very excited to meet you now, a little old and a little changed. So yeah, obviously that's some further kind of clarification there. They also say, also further clarifying in a similar sense, my plan will be pre-recorded ASMR, some live stuff like ASMR, stuff like that, maybe some fun event stuff. I do not intend on opening memberships, sorry emote lovers, and all the vlog content that will stay up. I'll be creating content as Yuri for the love of it as a personal project. Monetization will only extend to ad revenue and maybe merch one day, simple stuff like standees, and then maybe one day I'd like to do a plushie or something like that for fans. I said I will also be addressing questions people will have about me, including rumors about me spun by drama stars for years, to a point where people regurgitate it as facts. Please know I have had everything professionally reviewed. After that, I wish to move forward from the past. And I think that is referring to this post. I'm unsure on the time frame of that. That's 5 a.m. I mean, actually, maybe they are planning. Oh, no, yeah, okay. They literally uploaded it like, yeah, half an hour later. And that was the Q&A, which they did put up after that. So again, it seems like she will be coming back. Hopefully she does, good as Amaris Yuri. Again, I'm very excited to see what she can really do in the space. And yeah, if there's any more information that comes out about the contradictions with the Phase Connect stuff, then of course I will keep you guys up to date if there's anything else going on with that. But for now, if you guys did enjoy this video, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Also, go to GameSubs, use my code Kazza, get 10% off. Again, they've got a ton of really cool stuff over there. Definitely recommend checking it out. They got a Black Friday thing going on Friday, so you can get 20% off using my code just specifically on Friday. So again, definitely do that, because then you can save yourself a lot of money on some really cool GameStop stuff. They do a ton of VTuber collabs, so check that out. And yeah, that's about all I got. I'll see you guys in the next one. That's all. See ya.